Alright you lot, don't forget to give us a follow on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and while you're at it, give us a 5-star rating. Trust me, it really does help us out.
Well, we've got plenty to break down after the Singapore Grand Prix. We'll start, I guess, with the win for Sergio Perez. So it's still technically up in the air at the moment as we're recording this, given a safety car infringement, but solid drive from him, realistically.
Yeah, and a lot of us wrote him off. We just thought
we all wrote him off.
You know, he's nah, you predicted you put him down in P5. But yeah, I think a lot of us wrote him off. But yeah, solid drive, perfect, and I think he's a really good number 2 driver for the team. And when he was needed, like today, when Max Verstappen is slightly further down the field, he delivered, and he certainly did that. P1 at the end. Holding off Charles Leclerc at the end, and just didn't put a foot wrong the entire race. Mixed conditions, Singapore, can easily put it into the barrier, and he didn't.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think I probably speak for most people in Formula 1 when we say that he was one that was written off for a lot of people. He didn't look like he was going to perform during qualifying, but he's always a race merchant, and during the race, he's a race merchant.
That's the best thing to be, if possible. That's actually a good thing.
But he got the jump on the Ferrari straight away, and from the get-go, P1, and he managed the tyres very well. He, as Hayden said, multiple conditions, absolutely fine. He didn't look to put a single foot wrong. And then the last 10 laps of the race, his tyres were primed because, he can just massage the tyres somehow. Flew away from then at the end of it. It was
tyre whisperer. He was just in control the entire time. The entire time. But again, kind of another missed opportunity for Ferrari and Leclerc being on pole. Again, just can't convert it.
Yeah, I think they'll be happy with that because they are second and third. And, if there's a penalty coming Perez's way, it's first and third. But yeah, again, Charles Leclerc on pole. You've said it about the launch, that there's a problem with the car's launch. Maybe that is the problem where they're losing it. But it just seems to be, he's got 10 poles, 9 poles this season, 3 wins. It's not good enough when you're on pole all the time. And I feel like Red Bull just got that race pace. They're much better in the race than the Ferrari. But yeah, you've got to be converting a few more of those. So they'll be the driver, at least, Charles Leclerc, will be slightly disappointed. But the team will be happy.
Yeah, I mean, Ferrari are going to Ferrari, eh? I suppose, to be fair to them, they didn't make any material mistakes this race.
Because the drivers ignored their strategy calls of pitting, didn't they? They were going to pit for Inters, I think, before the dry stage.
As they should. We've said it before, right? Like, I mean, if the trust between you and the pit wall breaks and you're strategist, then you need to start asking questions of them, a la Carlos Sainz at Monaco. I'm not coming in. I'm not looking to do 2 stops. I'm coming in once. And when I come in, you're going to put dry tyres on my car. That's what Charles needs a little bit of. We spoke earlier, in an ideal world going forward for Ferrari, you want to kind of take the best portions of both of their drivers. Charles Leclerc's absolute pacing quality, and Carlos Sainz Jr.'s nous and racecraft and race awareness almost. But still, listen, I can't knock Charlie. He raced well, but for the start, I think he would have probably had it in the bag because he had the wheels underneath him. And no unforced errors to speak of. And we're going to get to loads of other different drivers, amongst whom there were a gazillion unforced errors. A gazillion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mad one, actually. We might as well get on to that even now in terms of some of the unforced errors. We saw mistakes from Max, who was obviously starting further down the order anyway. After that, the issue in qualifying, and yeah, it was troublesome out there in terms of the conditions, but Lewis making.
Oh,
I don't want to do this to you.
I
had to because I want your thoughts on it. Obviously,
listen,
in third place, put in the barrier, and then a little bit of mistake.
Just keep kicking him down whilst
just list them out. He wasn't great, and for me, Lewis over the past couple of races hasn't been at his most brilliant best, if I'm honest. And again, we can all listen. I support Lewis Hamilton. I'll go to war with Lewis Hamilton. Right, he's my guy. But sometimes you've got to put on your objectivity cap, right, and gauge his performance as it wasn't. It wasn't a fantastic time for Sir Lewis. He made mistakes. He looked erratic. The mistakes that he did make, a lock-up. I mean, flipping Nora. That's not Sir Lewis Hamilton. That's not him, right? Yeah, many regard him as the GOAT, and that's that sort of thing you wouldn't expect from a GOAT. But I would play devil's advocate for a second and defend Sir Lewis because he's not had a great time. The car's been bad. He hasn't had the wheels underneath him. He's had to look over his shoulder all the time to George. So he's not... And it's a different circumstance to what he's used to. as versus over the last 8 or 9 years, even when he's had Bottas. And again, he did want to keep Bottas for the avoidance of doubt. He's had Bottas there just playing rear gunner, right? Now it's a very different circumstance, different car in W13. He doesn't have the wheels underneath him. Very different Spa in George Russell. George Russell, let's be frank, nobody's second driver. Nobody's second driver. Ergo, you're going to get pressure in a completely different circumstance. So in that sense, I will excuse Sir Lewis from a mistake-laden performance.
Yeah.
It's still not good enough, mate.
I will say, though, that this season we're seeing probably Lewis pushing harder than he's had to in the past. Because in the past, he's had a car that he's been happy with. It was designed for him. And he's been so content. And now he's getting a car that's a bit different. He's not used to it. He can't drive the same driving style. Now we're seeing him push a little bit more, and that's probably where the mistakes are coming from. So I can understand that he's gonna make more mistakes than you usually see from him. But I think that's just the competitive nature of him trying to push, trying to get the most out of it. And unfortunately, today, it just did not work for him. Made mistakes in the wet, but, he lost a lot of positions. But I think I'm not surprised that we're seeing that because he's pushing that car to as much of a limit as possible.
But I would just say to that, just to expand on your point a sec, I don't think it's that everybody makes mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Subject matter experts, the best in the world, absolutely make mistakes. It's the type of mistake that Lewis is making, though, that concerns me, really. If he's the GOAT, then I would expect to see as many of those unforced error lockups, the crash with Alonso. That's very uncharacteristic, and it's happening more and more. And it concerns me as a Lewis Hamilton fan.